Picture yourself in the winter of 1916, huddled in a trench carved into the frozen mud of the Somme. The temperature has plummeted below freezing, and you're wrapped in what appears to be a simple collection of wool blankets. Yet somehow you're warmer than you'd be under the thickest down comforter money can buy today. This isn't folklore or nostalgic exaggeration. The soldiers of the Great War discovered something profound about heat retention that our modern world, with all its synthetic innovations, has largely forgotten. When a British infantryman received his standard-issue kit, he was handed what seemed inadequate for the brutal conditions ahead, typically 2 or 3 thin wool blankets, each weighing perhaps 2 pounds. But these men, sleeping in dugouts where frost formed on the walls and breath crystallized in the air, understood something fundamental about warmth. They layered those blankets with mathematical precision, creating not just covering but architecture. Each thin woolen layer trapped a distinct pocket of still air between itself and the next, and that motionless air became an insulator more effective than any modern fiberfill could replicate. The soldiers learned through frozen nights that 5 thin blankets outperformed 1 heavy one by a margin that could mean the difference between sleep and hypothermic shivering. The wool itself deserves reverence in this story. Unlike the synthetic materials we trust today, wool continued insulating even when soaked with the perpetual dampness of trench life. The morning dew, the seeping groundwater, the cold sweat of fear and exhaustion. Its crimped fibers created millions of microscopic air chambers that held warmth close to the skin while wicking moisture away from the body. A soldier could sleep in wool blankets dampened by the notorious trench humidity and still wake warm, while a cotton blanket in the same conditions would leach heat from his body like a thief in the night. But the true genius emerged in the field modifications these men engineered. Soldiers discovered that cold air pooled at their feet, creating a convective current that drew warmth from their core. In response, they began fashioning what they called the footbox, taking the bottom edges of their blankets and pinning them together with whatever they had, from spare buttons to bent nails, scavenged from shattered buildings. This created a sealed pocket that trapped warm air and prevented the chimney effect that modern duvets with their open bottoms still allow. Some men, those with access to needle and thread during rare rest periods, would actually sew these footboxes permanently, creating sleeping systems more thermally efficient than anything you'll find in an outdoor supply catalogue today. The hot water bottle, often dismissed now as a quaint relic, became a survival tool of surprising sophistication in the trenches. Soldiers would fill metal canteens or repurposed artillery shell casings with water heated over small concealed fires that had to remain invisible to enemy snipers watching for telltale smoke. Wrapped in a spare sock or piece of torn shirt, these improvised warmth devices would be placed between the feet or against the core, and the radiant heat they provided through the night could sustain a man through temperatures that claimed the lives of those without such knowledge. The beauty of this technique lay in its simplicity and its physics. Unlike a fire that consumed fuel and attention, the thermal mass of heated water released its warmth gradually, steadily throughout the long watches of a winter night. What these soldiers understood, huddled in their wool cocoons while artillery rumbled in the distance, was that survival wasn't about having the newest technology, and it was about understanding the fundamental principles of heat, moisture, and the human body's relationship with cold. Today, as we prepare our own survival kits and plan for uncertain times, we would do well to remember these lessons written in frozen mud and desperate innovation. The old ways, tested in the crucible of the Great War's merciless winters, still outperform our modern conveniences in ways that should humble us. If this knowledge speaks to something in you, that desire to understand not just what works, but why it works, then you're exactly who Fieldcraft Chronicles exists to serve. Subscribe to this channel and share this video with everyone who values the hard-won wisdom of those who came before us, who survived when survival seemed impossible, and who left us lessons we cannot afford to forget.